Now available in paperback and e-readers. ISIS, Bride of Dracula. The Goddess Next Door and John Haynes team up to take on the Dark Vampire Lord in this action-packed ISIS series adventure. Get ISIS, Bride of Dracula in paperback and e-readers at online booksellers today. One of my viewers wanted to know what my thoughts were regarding the impending government shutdown that many people feared was going to happen over the weekend. Now, over the weekend, many were scared that the United States government was going to shut down due to an internal feud between members of the Red Party in the Congress. However, in the latest couple of hours, both the House and the Senate have agreed to a 45-day extension to keep the government operational until they could come out with a deal to keep the government running. Now, this whole government shutdown drama, basically it shows how weak the leadership of America has become over the last 30 years. Now, over the last 30 years, we have seen a complete failure of leadership in our country, and sadly, we the people don't really have the backbone or the stones to stand up and demand that these congressmen and congresswomen go out here and do the jobs we elected them to do. That's where I see one of the problems as related to why we're having all of this political theater as related to these government shutdowns. And the big problem with this government shutdown is basically it was speculated because we had a bunch of adults who were treating our offices of the Congress and the Senate and the presidency basically like one big junior high school, and all of them were acting like a bunch of mean girls in cliques. Because all of the drama regarding this latest government shutdown speculation all started because Kevin McCarthy had the audacity to go meet with Joe Biden in order to hammer out an agreement in order to keep the government operational. Yes, you heard that right. Kevin McCarthy, the head of Congress, who is the Speaker of the House, had the audacity to go meet with Joe Biden and Chuck Schumer, who is the Senate Majority Leader, and hammer out an agreement to keep the government running. But there are those on the far right and the far left who didn't like the idea of this deal being made, and then there were some on the far right in Congress who were so upset that Kevin McCarthy went out here and did go out here and meet with Joe Biden, that they were going to refuse to go out here and vote for the agreement that had already been made months ago. And that's where grown men and grown women basically turned into a bunch of mean girls. And as they turned into a bunch of mean girls, what they wanted to do was participate in these junior high school antics where they were going to go out here and make it where their clique was going to go and disrupt the operations of the United States government. And that should embarrass everybody in these United States that we have politicians who are supposed to be educated and intelligent, and instead of them acting like grown men and women, they go out here and participate in cliquish behavior, and they participated in that cliquish behavior primarily because of Kevin McCarthy's completely weak leadership. Now, Kevin McCarthy basically is participating in the kind of beta male behavior that I talk about in depth in my book, The Man Crisis. And instead of him being a House Majority Leader who is running the job of running the House is running him, because this group of only possibly four or a couple of radicals are the ones trying to dictate to him what to do. And again, that just shows how he has no control
over his party and has no control over the members that are a part of his party. And that is a textbook example of beta male behavior, because beta males always allow situations to run them instead of them running the situation. And these men do not know how to set order. They do not know how to set order on people to let them know they need to get in line. And what happens is, because they don't set order, you get the kind of chaos we saw with this whole drama regarding a possible government shutdown. And again, this whole situation again shows the weakness of leadership as related to the Congress. These are supposed to be the people representing we, the people, and the problem is the people representing we, the people, really don't have a connection to the needs of we, the people. No, they are just so caught up in their feelings about whatever ideologies that they're following that they are forgetting about the needs of the people. People like our soldiers and our government workers who need to get paid, and many of these people are living paycheck to paycheck trying to cover their bills. But instead of making those people a priority, they put their agenda and their feelings about their agenda first. Yes, these people, all they thought about was their feelings about situations like the Ukraine, but didn't really think about the average everyday American. And as they were out here, they fostered a codependent relationship, hoping to hold the government hostage and hold the lives of most Americans hostage, because they were upset about certain policies, but not understanding it's your dysfunctional approach that is alienating a lot of people. Now, I myself am not a fan of Joe Biden and the Blue Party going out here and giving all this money to the Ukraine, because they did this by walking past all of those black voters who took their booties to the poll, and that's a basic disrespect directed at black people. Moreover, I'm not happy about all this money being sent to migrants that are not citizens, and the continued prioritizing of people who are entering the country illegally over foundational black Americans. Because as I see it, foundational black Americans were the ones who gave Joe Biden the House and the Senate in 2020 and the presidency. And instead of giving us tangibles in exchange for giving the Blue Party all of our votes, we have received nothing but contempt from Joe Biden. So for me, that's an issue I have with our government, that it's not especially serving foundational black Americans in providing us tangibles. But this whole situation, as I see it, basically is we, the people, getting what we deserve, because the dysfunctional government we have primarily is what most Americans voted for. Many Americans really don't understand their U.S. Constitution, and the first three words of that Constitution are "we the people." And the big problem I've seen with the pathetic state of America is that most people really don't have a direction of where they want to go with their country, and that's why we have all of this dysfunctional junior high school drama going on with our Congress as related to representing us, because the people who are representing us are a reflection of 60 years of dysfunctional ideas that were presented by feminists and far leftists back in the 60s, and the weak and incompetent leadership of Kevin McCarthy is a reflection of all of that dysfunction that we saw being cultivated in America's culture over the last 60 years. Because, again, Kevin McCarthy's leadership as related to the Congress is a textbook example of the dysfunctional beta male leadership that has put America in decline. And I would have to say Chuck Schumer and Joe Biden's weak leadership also is the same dysfunction, and it just shows me that our government has a man crisis, because we're being led by beta males, and these beta males basically cannot go out here and run a country in any way, shape, or form. And this is why we've got all of this political theater and all of this drama going on currently. This whole government shutdown situation basically just shows how we have a man crisis and woman crisis in Congress, and how the people who are supposed to be leading us cannot even lead themselves, because again, a situation like this should have never been the drama as related to a deal that was already done. No, when there are men in charge and they make an agreement, that agreement is settled right there. And once it's settled, they move on to other business. But when you've got beta males, nobody respects their leadership. And what happens is you've got individuals who think they can undermine that leadership and challenge that individual. And the reason why people are challenging Kevin McCarthy primarily is because, as a beta male, in order to try to get that leadership position, he compromised himself early on by saying he could be taken out of his position by any one person. And again, that's a deal that comes from a position of weakness, and only a beta male would make that kind of deal. And a beta male made that kind of deal that basically wound up running himself possibly out of the speakership position, again coming from that position of weakness. And that's why he got challenged by these radical far-right individuals, and they look to undermine this deal in order to make their political statement. And as they were looking to make their political statement, the main reason why they wanted to make that political statement is because they saw the weakness of Kevin McCarthy, and they saw if they undermined and challenged him, they'd be able to gain position of power in the House. This is what happens when you have males in charge and not men. When a man is in charge, other men respect his authority, and they respect his authority enough to not go out here and challenge his authority, because they know that a man's word is his bond. And when a man goes out here and makes an agreement, that agreement is done at that point. They don't go out here and undermine another man once he makes a deal, because they understand that if you try to challenge another man, that's also coming from a position of weakness after he makes an agreement. No, that's some bitch shit, because what happens is you're coming from the sideways and coming from the back instead of standing up front. And that's what I saw with that whole drama regarding the government shutdown speculated over the last week. I saw a bunch of bitches going out here trying to come up from the back and not looking to stand up front like a man. Again, coming from positions of weakness in order to appear strong, but not looking strong at all, because this whole situation basically undermines the message and the mission of the party. And I guess a couple of people in the Blue Party understood the overall impact on all of the parties in 2024, because we're just a year away from elections, and these guys understood that if we don't make a deal, they may kick all their asses out, because these guys basically are showing weakness. And with the economy in bad shape and most Americans looking to make ends meet, most people are tired of the theater. They're tired of the junior high school drama. They're tired of the games that are being played, because they're not seeing any money being paying to them, and they're not seeing any tangibles that are allowing them to have a high quality of life. No, most Americans are seeing their money being sent to countries like the Ukraine, and they're seeing migrants getting all sorts of benefits. You're seeing Americans put last, and they're getting tired of both of these political parties, and they're getting tired of all of their drama and their nonsense. So that's why we basically saw them basically try to settle this deal. That's what we saw as related to this whole situation. They quickly settled for a 45-day deal, because they know they don't want to go into the 2024 election with a government shutdown, because their political opponents on both the red and blue sides will use this to mark it as an example of weak leadership. So this whole situation, this is a disaster for both parties, and it's a disaster for the nation because it shows that the nation's leadership is extremely weak. It shows that the men who are supposed to be running the country are men in crisis. These beta males do not have any sort of critical thinking or problem-solving skills, and they do not know how to go out here and agree to disagree. No, they're willing to hold the country hostage in an effort to go out here and try to push their agenda and not thinking about the agenda of the American people, showing a clear disconnect between all of these politicians and the American people, showing a clear detachment from we the people, and showing that we the people really need to start taking our politicians that we elect seriously and really need to start taking a critical look at who we put in office, because it's clear these people don't represent we the people, and we need to go out here and really start thinking about who we're putting in office, because again, the government is a reflection of we the people, and what I see from we the people is a lot of apathy, a lot of indifference, a lot of detachment, because detached people elect detached politicians, and detached people elect detached politicians because they feel like the government doesn't want to serve them. And the sad part about our government is they're more interested in serving other countries and people who aren't even citizens than the American people. And that's the whole embarrassing thing about this shutdown that was supposed to happen. Was we see that there's nobody looking to lead the country or set a direction. No, we've got a bunch of junior high school girls in cliques going out here acting like bitches and looking to go out here and look to act like a bunch of women who are trying to go out here and play a codependent game of keep away from the people. And we have to go out here as we the people and start to wake up and understand we deserve better than the government that most of the people have elected. That's the whole thing that most Americans need to understand. If you want a better government, you've got to demand better from the people you elect. And you have to take your respect by demanding better of those who you elect, and demand that they bring tangibles to you for your votes and put you first. That is what you have to demand as an American citizen, because the country is a reflection of what you elect, and that's what most American people don't understand. Now, this was a video requested by one of my viewers, and if you want to request a video, you can send a donation to the Cash App by clicking the link in the description box. And if you want to continue to help to support the channel, you can drop a donation to the Cash App, the PayPal, or the Patreon by clicking the links in the description box. Or you can go out here and pick up some of my positive black fiction on the SJS Direct imprint that's available on Amazon.com and other online booksellers. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.
Now available in paperback and e-readers, E-Steam Cancel Vacation. Hell's aspiring angel takes on a social justice, social media mob looking to cancel her in this all-new E-Steam series adventure. Get E-Steam Cancel Vacation in paperback and e-readers today.
Support Black-owned and Black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.